This is how APC used funds from PDP to empower Boko Haram by the help of this man. So, a little biography of Boko Haram. Boko Haram, which means when translated, Western education is forbidden, was actually formed in the year 2002 by Muhammadu Yusuf in Maiduguri, the capital of Borno State, where he was preaching against Western education. In 2003, a radical offshoot known as Nigeria Taliban camping in Kanama, Yobe State, attacking police stations and government facilities, seizing weapons, led by Muhammad Ali. This happened as a result of having a dispute with local communities and the police. But the Nigeria military intervened, and those who survived the military intervention fled and joined Muhammad Yusuf in Maiduguri. Fast forward to 2009, when they launched their major attacks in states like Borno, Bauchi, Yobe, Gombe, Kano, and Katsina in July 2009.
So, as a Boko Haram, how many people did you kill, you think? Do not answer.
This man say he killed like 100 people.
100 people. What was your age when you started?
10 years.
10 years.
End of the game, instruction to kill.
So this guy, he killed more than 100 people.
Yeah.
Wow.
In July 2009, where hundreds of lives were lost. In 2010, Muhammad Yusuf was killed in police custody, and then Abubakar Shekau took over command, leading the brutal Boko Haram we later knew. Here are a few of their key evolution tactics. In 2010, breaking out prisoners from Bauchi prison, freeing over 700 inmates. In 2011, it was a bombing of a car in the police headquarters and the United Nations building in Abuja. In 2014, they gained international notoriety for the kidnapping of 276 schoolgirls in Chibok. In 2015, they pledged allegiance to the Islamic State, becoming Islamic State West Africa Province, ISWAP, later splitting into rival factions. Over the years, from 2002 to 2009, they were training and recruiting on a low, not until a political party thought this group will be instrumental to their political ambition, if only they empower them and make them believe they are part and will be part of their movement. They used this man, Sambo Dasuki, who was appointed as the National Security Advisor in the then ruling party, to divert the funds allocated to buying ammunition for the Nigerian military to fight Boko Haram in empowering Boko Haram instead.
Remember when I told you people in August to watch this Dasuki matter closely? We said if court jail this man, Dasuki, that means justice has been served. But if court come free am, that means the president just gained another new loyalist from the north.
Using the feud the then APC presidential candidate Muhammadu Buhari had with Sambo Dasuki, who was the National Security Advisor to President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan of PDP, during their military days and in their coup as a bait and debt he needed to repay, not to face the full wrath of the Buhari's government after getting into power, and not to be exposed of his other shady dealings. This was the beginning of APC forgiving corrupt leaders who are willing to decamp and join their party, APC. Dasuki began to work for APC while serving in PDP as NSA. This fellow used the money and ammunition bought to empower the Nigerian military and handed it over to the Boko Haram, knowing fully well that he and the presidential candidate of APC are security experts and have seen loopholes on how to destroy the PDP government. Knowing fully well the then PDP president Dr. Goodluck Ebele Jonathan wasn't knowledgeable enough in security matters. That is why he had to entrust it to Dasuki, and then they used that to their greatest advantage. It is almost impossible for a typical Fulani to forgive a person when they are being wronged until they take their pound of flesh. With a good understanding and knowledge of this, Sambo Dasuki knew one way or the other Buhari will definitely come for him, so he obliged and followed Muhammadu Buhari and the APC's bidding. Now, How comes from the year 2002, when the Boko Haram was formed, up until 2009, there were no major attacks? Buhari and his cohorts, Dasuki wasn't in the picture by this time. They began to fund Boko Haram with personal funds and funds that came from supporters. But they also needed more funds for campaign. So in 2012, Dasuki was made NSA, National Security Advisor, and Boko Haram activities intensified in 2014 against the 2015 general election. And when Muhammadu Buhari came into power, he gave Nigerians an impression he was broke, having 30 million naira in his account, killing every suspicion of what has been happening. Or could it be true he was that broke? Not to raise suspicions, he began to chase Sambo Dasuki, Diezani Alison-Madueke, etc. for being corrupt, making Nigerians believe they were actually trying to fight corruption as they claimed, but unknowing to many, it was actually staged.
The incoming president, President Buhari, was heavily supported by a foreign government, and one of the first missions was to terminate our contract.
Could you name that foreign government?
Yes, we were told it was the United States, and they had actually funded President Buhari's campaign. The campaign manager for President Buhari came from the US, and I'm not saying that the United States is bad. I understand foreign interests, but I would have thought that a threat such as Boko Haram on the integrity of the state of Nigeria ought to be actually a priority. It was.
Why do you think the US would intervene to abort such operation?
Again, I can't answer that. I think that the US can answer, but what I've come to realize, that is when a government's foreign interests clash with the state's own domestic interests, conflict is bound to ensue. And those conflicts usually just continue with no end. And we can look at all the conflicts in Africa where foreign forces have come in, they've prolonged those conflicts, they haven't ended those conflicts. And the amount of money and manpower and equipment thrown at those conflicts says to me that something is wrong if no end result is achieved.
But they needed a scapegoat to make Nigerians believe that they were actually fighting corruption. So Dasuki was kept somewhere, making it look like he was locked up in prison for 4 years without the embezzled money being recovered, while Diezani Alison-Madueke is still being chased till date.
Interview. Let's start first of all by talking about the issue of Boko Haram in Nigeria. How do you think that the government is handling this terrorist group so far?
Very badly, because there are two Boko Harams. Visible Boko Haram, led by Shekau. Invisible Boko Haram, led by Jonathan Goodluck. So, which means the government can never do anything that will tame the Boko Haram.
Africa Untold, beyond the headlines, beneath the surface.